Nancy Pelosi doesn't think there's anything wrong with members of Congress trading stocks, but the public disagrees strongly with her position. New legislation could put an end to this, and Farron Cousins from Trial Lawyer Magazine joins me to talk about what's going on. Look, there's no other way to say it. This is insider trading that's been blessed by Congress. You see story after story. Congressman or congresswoman moves into Congress. They have nothing. They're paupers when they start out. And within 8 years, they're millions of dollars wealthier. A lot of it has to do with insider trading, doesn't it?
It really does. And look, this is one of the few issues where this truly is a both sides issue. You've got your Republicans, you've got your Democrats doing it. In the last year alone, 52 lawmakers from the House and Senate, along with 182 of their staffers, popped for this. And when I say popped, I mean absolutely nothing happened. It was just confirmed that these individuals were trading stocks on issues that were currently in front of Congress, which is, as you pointed out, insider trading.
You know, when I listened to Pelosi's rationale, it was almost like let them eat cake. That's what it sounded like to me. Let them eat cake. We deserve this. Look, here's what they do. They have inside information about new legislation, new laws that are going to take place. They have inside information about what the military is about to do, what's being done with the environment, what's being done with the Fed on money rates, those types of things. They have all of that inside information. And according to Nancy Pelosi, the millions that she has made and her husband has made, the millions they have made as insider trading is perfectly fine. Other people, well, we throw them in jail, don't we?
Right. And the rate of return that these members of Congress are getting on these stocks is absolutely through the roof. You know, when you look at the S&P average rate of return, 5-something%, I believe it is. Well, members of Congress, because of their knowledge, are getting more than 14% returns on their investments here. But, there's good news on the horizon, maybe. You do have Jon Ossoff from Georgia, Democratic senator, who's introduced legislation, says, listen, I know you're saying this, Pelosi, but we've got to do something. 76% of the public says they want us to stop doing this. Let's deliver. And Ossoff is the guy, let's not forget, he won his Senate seat because the two Republicans in that race were both accused of very serious insider trading.
Yeah.
It was Loeffler and Perdue. We talked about it on this show.
Well, she's a dinosaur. Nancy Pelosi she's a pathetic dinosaur. And the Democrats can't seem to get their arms around that. The more she comes out, now you've got McCarthy, who's, of course, probably going to be the next House and, in charge of the House. He's attacking her. He's saying, how stupid to tell the American public that your insider trading is completely legitimate, that the tens of millions, if you follow these stories, tens of millions that her husband has made and that she has made by nothing less than insider trading is just okay.
Well, and if you want to know why we're not getting any action on things like breaking up these tech monopolies, look at the stocks they own. Google, Alphabet, Facebook, Netflix, all of these big tech giants and these members of Congress, Pelosi specifically and her husband, are buying and selling these stocks because they know, look, as long as we don't do anything, the stocks are going to keep going up.
She's an embarrassment. When she gets on the air and says, oh, this is perfectly fine, she is a frigging embarrassment. It's been a couple of months since a massive jet fuel leak contaminated the drinking water of thousands of military families in Hawaii. Now the Navy is being tasked with cleaning up this disaster. I have Joshua Harris with me to talk about it. Josh, this story has repeated itself so many times, hasn't it? With the military, it's either contractors for the military or the military that are just completely destroying ecosystems. This is a great example of it, isn't it?
It's something we see come up over time and time again. It's something that we're going to see come up in the future. You just have to understand that when these military installations have these large machines, these jets, these tankers, all sorts of things, they're powered by fuel. It's not solar powered. So when that fuel goes somewhere, unfortunately, it goes into the ecosystem where there's homes and communities nearby that are affected by it.
Well, this is 93,000 people that potentially are affected. Didn't they already have to move about 3,000 people away from a highly affected area?
They did. So the most recent event was back in November. They believe that there was a fighter jet that had fuel leakage at a Oahu military base. And the surrounding communities, they did have to displace almost 100,000 people from their homes because they were detecting petroleum in the water wells at 350 times the levels acceptable for safe drinking water. So those people certainly can't live there.
Well, of course, you know the story on benzene, right? You know how dangerous benzene is. What are some of the physical problems that they're having right now? The early problems, because this is long term, man. If they've had exposure drinking benzene, this is a serious issue.
It is. Some of the early onset issues are people who are drinking it are getting nausea, headaches, rashes, internal digestive issues. One of the things that we're seeing inside of the homes are all of the systems inside the homes that use water, the dishwashers, the washing machines, the coffee pots, the plates, all of those things are being ruined and continuing to cause adverse health effects because they're filtering through that water with petroleum.
You have people with their skin peeling off. No explanation. Their skin simply starts peeling off. These are children, mothers, fathers that have been. You can't bathe in it. You can't drink it. You can't swim in it. You can't even cook in it. There's no way to make it safe. You can't boil it and make it safe, right?
No, what the Navy's planning to do, and they've been starting the efforts, is to flush it with about 25 million gallons of water, the well system that is, and then the plan after that is to go into the homes and flush out the homes. But with that much level of petroleum in the system, you almost wonder if it's ever going to be clean. I mean, these people have been displaced for months at a time over the Thanksgiving, Christmas holidays, and having to take the cost of the hotels to pay to be displaced.
How are the residents reacting? I mean, it seemed like they'd be marching in the streets about this. How are the residents taking it?
Oh, they're outraged. I mean, there was a class action lawsuit filed at the end of December that they're trying to hold these management companies accountable because they're not doing what they need.
The management companies. Talk about the idea, the problem with going after the military versus the management companies.
So one of the issues is that active servicemen and women and their spouses are typically not allowed to sue the Navy. It's something that's employed in their contract, and they can't sue them during the line of their duty and the undertaking of their duties in the military. There's a small exception for dependents of those folks, though, so we may see some litigation with that. But what the servicemen and women are doing now are going after the management companies and affiliated companies because they've breached their warrants of habitability, meaning that the homes that these people contracted to stay in and live in, they're not livable. This water's not safe.
Well, isn't the bigger problem, how do you, okay, you've had this contaminant in your drinking water, you bathed in it, you've everything, cooked with it, and now you run the risk of all types of neurological disease, cancers, gastrointestinal disease beyond belief. It seems like they have to be monitored. Has there been any talk about the military saying, well, we'll have a monitoring system? You can come in and we'll check you out every couple of years to see how you're doing. Has there been any discussion about that?
Not yet. You would hope they would do the right thing for the servicemen and women who are doing so much for the country to make sure that they're being protected going forward, because this is catastrophic. I mean, you know, hopefully people aren't affected by it long term, but with this much contamination, you can almost expect to see it.
They're residents beyond the military, though. This moving? It's moving into the aquifer, isn't it? I mean,
it is. It's going into the underlying communities. So we expect some of those people may bring litigation against the federal government and the Navy for this contamination. So I would expect through one of the class actions or more that they're going to set up some monitoring so that people down the road can get the assistance they need. Because this isn't over with a rash or skin peeling. This is going to have long-term side effects.
So they've moved 3,000 families. Although there's 93,000 that they think they've identified as being people who have been drinking it, bathing in it, cooking with it since November, right?
Right.
Usually it's just pure incompetence. Is that the situation here?
That's mostly what we're seeing here. I mean, they're doing what they can or claiming what they can by moving these people, giving them bottled water. I mean, they're even having to worry.
How did it happen? How did it happen?
Well, they believe that there was a jet fuel that spilled out during a simulation or a practice run, and it wasn't properly cleaned up in time. So that's when it started seeping, and that was the most recent event in November of 2021.
Yeah, these people need to be medically monitored for a very long time because the chances of the effects of benzene and toluene and some of the things involved here are terrible.
It's going to be a long-term health effects for them.
Thank you for joining me.
Thanks, Pat.